Kind of a quiet day up in Westfield. No practice, no public practice. That will resume tomorrow at noon. But we got a chance indoors to talk to Frank Reich and get his ideas about how to get a quick start and how the rotation of players in the preseason might facilitate a quick start.
The speed and tempo of practice is what we're looking for. You know, you want it fast and competitive, but you got to be smart. You got to take care of each other. I feel like we're getting that. It's very competitive. You know, there's always a couple things when you're super competitive, you're like, ooh, I hope nobody got hurt there, but there's no other way to get ready. So we just have to find the right balance there. I think the guys are doing a good job.
When you changed a lot of things in off-season and training camp, I guess because of the slow starts, or just to address it, how are you changing things for preseason games? Exposing players, holding players back?
Maybe play a little bit more than we've played in the past. Not a whole lot more, but maybe a little bit more.
A little bit more players, or a little bit more for some of those starters?
A little bit, just a little bit more for the starters.
Just because, I mean, you just can't get everything done in camp. You've got to need the game situation.
New defensive system, you know, new quarterback. And again, I'm just talking incremental, you know, maybe an extra series from what we normally would do. We'll still, nothing's etched in stone. You know, Chris and I have talked about this at length. You know, it's like, okay, generally speaking, in the first game, it's a quarter. You know, it'll be a quarter, but it really depends how many plays per series and all that stuff. And we'll kind of have a play number, and then we'll have, you know, we'll make individual exceptions as needed. You know what I mean? And we'll determine that, and that can only be determined as we get to that day. So, but yeah, I would say in general, right now, the plan would be to play a little bit more now. In week 2 against the Lions, because we're having competitive practice against them, there's a good chance the starters won't play in that game, because, you know, we got 2 good days of work against them. It's highly competitive, and, you know, Dan and I have already talked, and so that'd probably likely be the plan for you know, for that game.
And then bounce back was the third game.
And then bounce back and play a little bit more in the third game.
Will there be any guys who don't play at all in preseason?
Possibly, you know, not many, but we'll take a look at that case by case. But for the most part, you know, I want the guys to think everybody's playing, and then Chris and I will meet with the coaches and the scouts, and we'll work it through.
So this incremental increase, is that for you guys a direct result of, or related to trying to, you know, get that faster start? Is it a product of those conversations, or just a general change?
Yeah, that's partially it. You know what I mean? You know, we've had 4 seasons. 3 of the 4 have been slow starts. Sure. So, you know, a little bit of it's to address that. A little bit of it is just not just reacting to that, but just thinking that's what feels right.
Yeah. Peyton always used to say he wanted to get that one hit. I mean, you know, not a lot, but the one hit to get out of the way. Do you think players need to have the first live hit in preseason as opposed to in September, or is that overblown?
No, I think it helps. You know, I don't think it's an absolute rule, but I do think it helps. And there's nothing like getting out there and playing live football. There's just nothing like it. It's what's so great about this game. So it really takes guys to another level. So I think it's good for everybody to get out there and play.
Frank, as you look ahead to the start of the season, how does having offensive line cohesion during training camp help when you do get to week 1 against Houston?
Yeah, it's important. And the good thing is, you know, our system's kind of been here. We know the system. You know, a bunch of our guys have been here. So that cohesion is very important. You know, we're moving a couple guys around, you know, just as you always do, cross-train a little bit. But Strauss and I, you know, we talk about a lot, and Marcus, you know, about what's the right amount of cross-training guys as opposed to just lining guys up and, you know, getting them used to playing next to each other. So we're always looking for that balance.
How hard was Tyquan Lewis's recovery? He had an injury that a little bit rare.
Yeah, I mean, he's done well with it. It's hard surgery, hard recovery, you know, but to his credit, he's done well, especially in the last week. I just feel like he's maybe a step ahead of, you know, like when we got him back into it, just thought, you know, maybe let's go super slow, but I think he's doing well, and we'll just keep progressing it day by day, a little bit at a time.
Wasn't it kind of amazing in the play? I mean, it was such a high and such a low in 10 seconds.
No, I probably thought about that play 100 times, you know, this offseason. And it was just one of those freak things.
In the situation, I mean, it's 14, everything.
Yeah.
What it could have
Yeah, and that's where we understand, right? We all understand. You guys understand it. We understand it. Is that you don't try to figure those things out. You just say, hey, they come and those things ebb and flow of the season of the game. So you can't ever play scared. You know what I mean? It's just like you got to be aggressive, get after it, do what you do, and hope for the best.
With the additions you made on defense, how do you think that's going to improve the pass rush that's struggled in the past few years?
Yeah, I really think, the defensive line has looked good in training camp. I think the shift in system has been good for them. I think Nate, Ollie, and Matt Reich are doing a good job with those guys. So I'm excited. Got Yannick, of course, the guys that we got coming back, and Buckner leading the way, and Grover, Stewart, and the whole crew. Those young guys really getting better. They need to feed off each other. We need to feed off that defensive front. They need to kind of set the pace and the standard, not just for the defense, but for the whole team.
With Yannick, just how fast and intense he plays within this scheme, has that caught you by surprise at all? I mean, you knew the kind of player you're getting, but it just seems like he's moving at a higher speed.
Yeah, I mean, he's explosive. He's so explosive, and he practices so hard. Of course, we knew all that. When you find out about the player, and I think that's helped our whole team. He carries that intensity. He carries an intensity that I think is infectious, and he's a big part of it. I mean, he's really blending in with the team, but also standing out as a leader.
That's Frank Reich, kind of subdued on a Saturday. I guess no crowd, no pads cracking. That's what you get. You get Frank Reich in a quiet and subdued mood.